All right, so I'm going to go through quiz, chapter 4 quiz from 214. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. The first few I think are pretty easy, and then we get on to some more mathematical questions. Question 1, area of concern in the provision of health care in the United States is that A, healthcare costs and spending are too high. Not too few resources. In fact, we think too many resources. Question 2. One source of high healthcare costs is the relatively small fraction of healthcare expenditures paid directly by patients. Right? So because patients don't pay a very high fraction of their healthcare costs, they consume a lot of healthcare. More than they otherwise would if they had to pay all of it themselves. All right, turning to a different topic. A minimum price set above the equilibrium price is a price floor, right? We can't go below the minimum or below the floor. In fact, a minimum price is a price floor. The fact that it's above equilibrium means that it has an effect. But we could have, say we have the following market with this equilibrium, and then we could set a price floor here, right? So that's still a price floor. It just has no effect. It's not binding, in other words. Okay, question 4. Economists in general agree that rent controls are an inefficient and ineffective way to help low-income families. And, well, we haven't directly defined efficiency yet, but we will in the next chapter. So I'm not sure the best way to explain this, but the reason that it's not equitable is who gets the rent-controlled units? Is it the people who most deserve them? Or is it the people who happen to have the best connections? Does it really help the low-income people who it's supposed to help? Or do the rich people find a way to bribe the landlord and get the units anyway? Right? So these are all types of non-price rationing mechanisms, right? Now sometimes people are unhappy with the price system. So they try to put price controls, price ceilings, or price floors in markets. But then this usually results in unintended consequences. And so the goods are still going to get allocated some way, if not by the price system, some other way. And this might, entail discrimination or other things that are undesirable. Question 5. Of the following, which would result in an increasing demand for the healthcare in the healthcare industry? All of them, right? If the population gets older, then the demand will shift outwards, right? Increasing incomes will increase demand because healthcare is a normal good. And if more people are getting sick, more people are going to the doctors. Okay, question 6. In the market for healthcare, this looks like it might be a good answer, but then when you read the rest of them, you realize, oh yeah, there are other ones that are possibly correct too, right? So the effect of third-party payers decreases the price that consumers pay. Is that true? Yeah. And we'll look at this in the next couple of questions. We'll see some graphs that illustrate this. Providers are encouraged to supply a greater quantity than they would without third-party payers. Again, that's true. And so both B and C are true. Question 7 is very similar to the question 5 that we just saw. Which of the following would lead to an increase in the demand for healthcare? Well, let's just go through and say what each of the following would do. So, physicians' productivity increases. What would happen in the market for healthcare? Supply would increase, or shift right. Medicare subsidies are lowered, what would happen? Demand would decrease. The average population age increases, demand will increase. So this is the right answer. C is the right answer. B and D are actually the same exact answer. So. Okay, question 8. We have this this figure. Assuming there are no third-party payers, what happens? What will happen in this market if there's no third-party payers? Well, we'll be at equilibrium, which where demand equals supply. Oops. So the equilibrium quantity is 2, and the price is 40. So which of these is true? A, no. B, no. Right? 2, it's not 3. 40, it's not 80. C, total amount spent on physician office visits at the equilibrium is 40 million. Is that true? No, it's 80 million, right? It's 40 times 2. This whole area is 80 million. Finally, equilibrium price is 40. That is true. So D is the right answer. Oops. Okay, question 9. When the price of P2 becomes available to the consumer because of insurance, so the price is falling from P1 to P2, what happens? Well, first of all, the price is P2. Consumers demand a quantity of Q2, and for this quantity, suppliers require a price of P3. So suppliers are making P3 they're charging P3 and they're providing Q3 visits, but consumers are only paying P2. So consumers are paying this portion. And then the third party payer is paying this portion. Okay, so which of these is correct? Healthcare costs are now 0. This should be a 0, although it looks like a O. 0, P3, B, Q2. Healthcare costs are now that. That's true. But it says of which O, P3, C, Q2. That's O, P3, C, Q2. It's paid by consumers. That's not true, right? This is that would be a crazy looking shape, right? From here to here to here to here, and we haven't seen that shape, so that's not true. Again, the healthcare costs are correct, but P2, P3, B, Q2 is paid not by consumers, right? In fact, only this portion, P2, P3, B, C, this portion is paid by who? The third party. And so you could get a clue that this is wrong because they're going from B all the way down to Q2. So again, that's a crazy looking shape. But the new quantity of healthcare is Q2. So C is correct. And this is, in fact, almost the exact same question. Suppose insurance lowers the price consumers pay to P2 compared to a situation without insurance. The quantity demanded is Q2. So this is not true. It's not going to have no effect, right? And it's not going to reduce the quantity. But what about the first one? Reduce the equilibrium price to P2. You might think that that sounds reasonable, like a reasonable answer. But the thing is, buyers are paying P2, sellers are receiving P3. So it's not an equilibrium price. So therefore, C is the best answer.